Okay, so I'm here to talk about time management and how to be a better manager of time. So, first thing to think about is how can we get more done and find balance in our lives? It requires us to organize and plan and prioritize. So, sometimes we wonder, how can I make more time? I'm super busy. Well, one thing we can try is a time analysis. Essentially, you'll get a schedule and you'll fill it in as you go through each of your activities each day. Write down the times that you were at school, the times that you were working, the times that you were sleeping, and the times you were eating, and so on. And you can find over a course of a few days, you'll discover that you may have had some gaps in your schedule, that time was wasted perhaps on social media. So, the first thing we want to consider is what roles we play in our lives. Most of us are students, parents, children, husbands, wives, employees. And so, with each of our roles, we have certain priorities or things that are most important for us to accomplish. As a student, you may want to be on the A honor roll, or as an employee, you may want to make sure that you are always honest about the time that you put into your work and staying true to the values of the company that you work for. So it's important to think about what your goals and priorities are for each of your roles. And then once you have planned those out, then you can um, make sure that your schedule aligns with your priorities and your goals. So here we're going to review a calendar. And a calendar is a very useful tool for keeping track of upcoming projects and assignments. And when you evaluate your project and all that it requires to go into it, you can break it into smaller chunks and place smaller deadlines for yourself on a calendar. And be sure to include everything that's important to you. Even if you need some downtime, be sure to schedule that into your calendar as well. So, I have a great video that will help us to think about scheduling our time. So it's important to keep in mind that everything that's important to you needs to go into your schedule every day. And every day, it's a great idea to put together a to do list. This is something that I do, and it helps me to manage my schedule a lot. But one thing that's really important to remember is to prioritize. And one thing you can do is label each item on your to-do list with an A, B, or C. An A if it's the most urgent priority, and a C if it's something that is not quite so urgent but still important, and then a B if it's in the middle. Sometimes we procrastinate, and it's a good idea to think about some things you may have procrastinated recently and think about what were your roadblocks? Why did you procrastinate that thing? When you figure out what is holding you back from completing a task, then you can consider how to overcome that roadblock in the future and what you can do to prevent procrastination at that level. So, overall, we talked about how to better manage your time. First, we talked about how to put together a time analysis that's going through your schedule item by item, day by day for a few days, and tracking how you spend your time, and then finding the gaps of time that you could be using more wisely. We talked about roles and goals. What roles do you have in your life, and how can you better prioritize your time to reach the goals that you have aligned with those roles? We talked about a calendar and scheduling projects that are far in advance and breaking it into smaller chunks to accomplish those tasks on a piece by piece basis rather than trying to feel the stress and the weight of doing everything all at once at the end. We talked about maintaining a schedule where we write down everything that's important to us: time to study, time to socialize, and so on. And we talked about to-do lists and how to prioritize them and find the things that are most important to you and put those at the top of your list, marked with an A for urgent priority. And then we talked about procrastination and what might our roadblocks be with getting things done and how we can overcome those roadblocks in the future. So thank you for listening and viewing my presentation.